You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
If you wish to be granted deliverance from your agony, you must surrender your soul.
I will love you as no other has or ever will, and you shall love me in turn.
Blood and souls. Blood for the blood god. Souls for the soul eater.
It is my cry that wakes you in the night, and my body that crouches in the shadow. I am Tzeentch, and you are the puppet that dances to my tune.
All right, welcome back, everyone, for another chapter. We're going to be doing a chapter on the Chaos Gods this week, which is a very short, by our standards, examination of a particular aspect of the universe we're examining, which, of course, is Warhammer 40K.
Yes.
With me is Eric.
Hello.
And Dan.
Hi. Good to be back.
Love that energy. Great, Dan.
Good to be back.
It's
It
great
is.
to have you
It
back.
is great. So we were again, guys. Every time I mention like, "Hey, we're probably going to be doing this chapter next," I am very. We always end up changing our minds. So I'm going to keep doing it, and why you keep listening is beyond me. We were going to do the Eldar because they're like one of the old, not the oldest, but one of the oldest factions on the board. But one faction always just crops up no matter how you slice it, and that is the Warp, and with it, Chaos.
Yes.
And with that comes the Chaos Gods and all of their fun.
And they really do get kind of tied up in everything.
They are. They
yeah.
are kind of like the glue that kind of just seeps into everything.
Right. We can't really, we haven't been able to have a conversation yet in this volume without touching on either the warp.
No,
or
and it is,
there,
it's one of the aspects of 40K that is so unique.
Yes.
Is the warp.
It also bridges the Chaos Gods, the Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar.
So they say.
Oh.
Well, it's my god that I'm discussing, not my god personally.
Ooh. Nice.
Right.
Stand down, Inquisition. Stand down.
Tzeentch, Changer of Ways.
Right.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the same guy in both universes.
And I believe Nurgle crops up there as well.
Really? See, I don't know anything.
And I bet Khorne does. I bet all four of them do.
They're all there.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I think there's some slight variations.
Is
Exactly,
that where they
which-
started?
Probably. So fantasy did come first,
Did it?
I believe.
Yeah, I think a lot of the early 40K stuff.
Yeah.
It was all Xenos.
You know,
Right, the orcs.
my cousin sent me stuff on this that really broke down the actual history of the publications and stuff. And I it was so long ago now at the time of this recording. I'll have to revisit it.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to look at.
It's not what we're talking about today.
It
No,
isn't.
it's not.
So
No, it's
for
not.
this, we're talking about the four Chaos Gods that as they are represented in the 40K universe.
Yes.
The kind of fuckery that tends to just mess up everything from the Primarchs to the Horus Heresy to just God damn it, everything.
Oftentimes making absolutely no sense along the way, it seems like.
Nope.
And no matter what it's doing, something's getting fucked up.
And that's because ultimately, and one thing that I think it's important to establish early is that everything we mention, for the exception of a few times, is just stuff that they do on a glance.
Yeah,
Like,
they follow their whims.
They're unknowable.
Yeah,
They're-
and like what they do to the actual galaxy, like the materium as they call it, what the material universe that most things reside in besides them, like the stuff they inflict upon these galaxies is a very minute amount of their attention and power.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's, man.
The warp is vast.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
a
huge.
the vast majority of their power is dedicated to fighting each other.
Right, because we'll find as we go along that there's different oppositions on each.
Yeah, they
Out
kind
of
of
these
counteract
four.
each other.
Yeah. So which one are we going to start with?
So the way we're going to handle this, guys, is each one of us has picking a chaos god, and because there's 4 and there's 3 of us, that means one is going to be divided 3 ways, and the only one that does 3 ways out of the gods is Slaanesh. So we're going to just stick that one for last.
Slaanesh is going to finish us off.
Yep.
Not the other way around.
So Eric
Okay.
chose Khorne.
Yep.
Dan chose Tzeentch, and I love grandfather Nurgle, so I had to pick the old Nurg.
Yes.
Dan, I'm very curious, why Tzeentch?
Because I have trouble pronouncing the name.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Really?
That's the reason that
Yeah.
you picked.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
All right.
I'm
Well,
gonna have
hot
trouble.
damn.
All right. Cool.
Any reasons as good as
Yeah.
another, I suppose.
Yeah. You did get first pick.
I
You
think,
did?
I think that also exemplifies his just plots upon plots, his nonsense logic.
You can't even make sense of his name.
Yeah, you guys talk about the whole warp, but Tzeentch takes that to the extreme.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, his whole thing is just. Have you guys ever seen the '90s TV show Gargoyles?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Are you familiar with the villain Xanatos?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with the concept of the Xanatos plot?
Mm.
Fuck.
Basically, every episode, he seemed to have some sort of plot. The gargoyles defeated him, and then he's like, "Oh, that was my plan all along. I benefit."
Oh, okay, yeah.
There was always a second angle. He always had something else going on, and that's Tzeentch.
Okay.
So inside of everything for Warhammer, there seems to be a faction that is Warhammered, even inside of its own universe.
Uh-huh.
For the Space Marines, it's the Alpha Legion, right? Like everything that people like about the Space Marines is the Alpha Legion dials up to the point where you can't even know about it.
Yeah.
Tzeentch is that for the Chaos Gods.
I don't think the Alpha Legion is dedicated to Tzeentch.
They are not, but I mean, they're just they're an example of Warhammer going, okay, even inside of our universe, inside of this faction, there is something that we're going to dial up to the nth degree, even beyond what we already do.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is for the Eldar. For the orcs, it would be like the beast, right? That was, what if we
Right.
gave the orcs a brain?
Yeah. Mm.
For the
Maybe.
Tyranids, it's the Swarm Lord. It's the one thing that has a personality amongst the hive. And for the Chaos Gods, it's fucking Tzeentch. Eric, you took Khorne.
Yes. Khorne is angry and honorable and bloody as fuck. He loves blood and fire.
Was there
and
any particular
battle.
reason you picked Khorne?
I picked him. He looks like the most kind of devilly to me of the, arguably the very classic fire and brimstone, I'll say, kind of devilly looking.
The closest to hell.
Yeah. And his environment and just that fire and bloodlust.
Which is
in
funny
there was
because he's
cool.
all about honor.
Right. Yeah. He's the in an ironic sense, but it also makes sense, like no ranged weapons. We are gonna fight face
In
to
the
face.
face, yep.
Yeah.
No sorcery. No
nothing.
No
Very
psychic. No
straightforward.
nothing.
So he's kind of, I don't know. Why did I pick him? He's kind of the opposite because I feel like I'd try to be more like Tzeentch, where it's like, avoid the conflict and find a way to benefit. Nah, I'm nothing like that. Of course, I'm not that smart, but I admire
avoid conflict.
Yeah, so I admire anyone who's going to charge head first when the time comes. Although for Khorne, the time
Is always.
is always. Yeah.
And then for me, Nurgle, I love Nurgle because Nurgle loves. Like, for all of the Chaos Gods, Nurgle is both the most, like, repugnant physically, like he is the single most repulsive of the four.
Yeah.
But he's the nicest. Like he's always happy. He's always jovial.
Yep.
He actually pays more attention to his worshippers than any of the other chaos gods. He actually cares when they're hurt. He doesn't hurts in quotation marks because this is audio only.
Right.
But like he really, for a chaos god, and that doesn't mean that he's like there all the time, but compared to the others, they call him Grandfather Nurgle. He's very like cradle.
Yeah. Quite
Which is
present. by
which is
comparison.
hilarious when
Yeah.
you juxtapose whatever the word is, when you compare him to what he is and what he represents.
I know.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. All of these guys have a bit of an ironic bent to them, I've been noticing.
They most definitely do, which
Yeah.
is great. And I think that's a good way of covering a lot of territory with only 4 gods.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh-oh.
4 gods. So
Uh-huh.
let's give a shout out to the 5th god, Malice. Do either of you know Malice?
Just the name. I'm not super familiar.
No.
with it.
Okay.
What is this?
Malice is like a lower tier that he's not one of the 4, but he kind of breaks that barrier every once in a while.
Oh, interesting.
And he is the only chaos god that can be summoned into the Imperium directly.
Oh, okay. So the others can't,
The others cannot.
not directly.
Not without an avatar.
Okay, but for some reason he's able to.
And
He's kind of
I
a-
think that's because he's not quite. They're so powerful that they just can't.
right.
It would require too much sacrifice. The body it would take to hold them would be like the emperor level need, but he's just low enough level that he can skirt it. And his whole thing is he's actually pure chaos. He has no motive whatsoever. He's like the Joker from the Dark Knight.
Okay.
He just wants chaos for chaos' sake. He is the true embodiment of chaos.
Oh, okay.
But he's kind of like the 5th chaos god that often gets forgotten.
Interesting. Okay, because that's kind of the thing. Is like there doesn't have to be these 4. It's just how it is now,
It's just
right?
how it is.
My understanding.
It's how it is now. And they're conglomerates of like all these other gods, demons,
Yes.
independent thoughts.
They're just not powerful enough to matter.
And at this point, they couldn't get more powerful enough to challenge these
Correct.
much
These-
greater concepts and entities.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Except for the Emperor.
Except for the Emperor, who now might.
So yeah.
Hmm.
So it's not confirmed that he is a chaos god. It is. I think it's beyond confirmed that he is an entity that still exists inside the warp.
Right.
Oh no, you're good. It's all good. But I believe that it's indisputable that he's he's to the level of a chaos god now. Now, what level that is he like is he powerful enough to be one of the 4? Well, I've seen some evidence here recently that says that he very fucking well might be.
Oh boy.
We'll touch on that, but don't get too moist in the panties because I just discovered this and I'm like, holy shit, he did what now? So, but there are other entities that are powerful enough in any other sense that we would call them gods.
Right.
But they don't matter when it comes to the other 4, I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of their like greater demons, a lot of their generals are either like aspects of themselves or like, aspects they've dominated into submission and subsumed.
And
Yeah.
kind of
Into
just
themselves, yeah.
absorbed into their own.
Which is funny
Yeah.
because that makes one of your guys, Kabanda, that makes him quite unique.
Oh, is that right? Really?
Kabanda is neither an aspect of Khorne, nor is he a dominated slave. Kabanda, that's what makes him special. That's why he's I believe, that's why he's assigned to the task of the Blood Angels, which you'll get into,
Yes.
is because he is a out and out diehard in the wool believer,
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Huh.
which is rare amongst the other gods.
Yeah, no kidding. Because
Speaking of believer, I was gonna kind of touch on I guess cultists, or how do people come upon these gods? Why would they worship?
Yeah, because
their
there
chosen
is
god?
worship
Yeah.
of these gods.
Almost definitely.
Yeah.
Khorne makes sense.
Right. Through like berserker rage sort of warriors and
So the idea of a cultist is kind of a two-pronged problem because you have people that willingly come to these gods, right?
Right.
But the problem is that people, by and large, don't even know they exist. And the chaos gods can get into you very easily by something very small.
Right. Just find a crack.
So,
or
like,
crevice in
if we
your-
were to apply it to our world, Khorne could potentially turn you into a cultist just by getting into you because you opened yourself up by flipping somebody off on the road.
right,
righteous
just
anger.
giving into righteous
Or
anger. Yeah, there you go.
even if you're angry for a good reason, it doesn't have to be something evil.
Right.
It just has to be the emotion of anger itself. And if that's enough for him to kind of work a pinky into that alone,
right.
and you can become a cultist just because you're a slave to that now.
And stuff like that kind of puts into context the necessity of like the measures taken by the Inquisition during the war for Armageddon that didn't happen.
Well, sure, but the question is could people be more adequately
prepared right.
and keep these emotions in check if they were aware of the roads they could lead to?
Yeah, kind of go a little bit more like the Jedi way
I
with
feel like
it.
that was part of the Imperial truth, but that's the idea before the like the cult of the God Emperor came about. It's what what he was actually trying to get across. There are no gods. I mean, that was an attempt to weaken them and categorize them.
Yeah, to drain the belief out of them.
Right.
But that takes sitting down with somebody and having like a heart-to-heart conversation. And there's just too many people in the Imperium.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
you can't have nuance.
I know.
You can't have subtlety.
Well, I will say this. The Emperor did not have nuance either. But I honestly think it's because he legitimately saw that fail time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
And saw the way that it could just creep in.
It's impossible to reinforce the lesson because for every one person that learns it, they have to die and someone else takes their place.
Right.
I really enjoy that story, The Last Church.
Trillions of people.
I haven't seen. I've heard of it. I've heard of that.
You should. It's on YouTube.
Story.
You can. There's YouTube drama, audios, which is I think is how the way they go because people come up with some really cool sounding stuff.
Right.
We might try something like that sometime.
I think I definitely have that in my playlist somewhere.
We might try something like that sometime. Yeah. But anyway, that's a really good conversation between the Emperor and the last religious icon on Earth. It's neat and it's a good conversation, but it is very clear from like the moment that the Emperor kind of drops the I'm a traveler and is like, no, I'm the Emperor. From the moment he does that, it is very clear that dude is completely unmovable. He will not be swayed by anybody, even by logic. He will have none of it. So, I'm not saying that he's perfect. He's not perfect. That's the thing. People, every time it kind of gets my panties in a bunch when I hear people just like, well, why did the Emperor make this mistake? Why did that make that mistake? I'm like, he's still human. He has all the human emotions and flaws and fuckeries as the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like he's not God. That's what he like. That's what he kept trying to impress on people. And that's funny because it's kind of almost commentary by Warhammer itself. It's like, this guy's not a god. This guy's not a god. This guy's not a god. And then one of the critiques is, well, how did he not know this if he's so unknowable? It's like, he's not God. Yeah. Aren't you listening?
So tell us your thoughts on the Emperor.
This isn't even the episode for him.
I know.
Oh my God.
No.
But that is. Oh.
But we will be.
He is certainly a presence in the warp.
He is right.
Yes.
But I think it's impossible that he is not a chaos god.
So already we're seeing there's more than just these four outside of this, which was kind of like, that's something I didn't necessarily understand going in about the warp. I kind of thought it was just like these four guys and so forth, but it's kind of like there could even be good chaos gods. It sounds like they usually just would get eaten before they could become powerful enough.
Yes.
Or they had to immediately go into hiding, which means they can't
grow any power that way.
Traction.
Yeah. Or they've nestled themselves in such a safe space that they've essentially stopped existing.
Yeah. They become like almost hibernated to the point of
they're just part of the warp.
Except for the Emperor.
Yeah.
Because if Gypsy's got a squeak toy right under my chair. Thank you, Gypsy. Hi, baby. Anyway, the Emperor most definitely is, if we're measuring the chaos in good and evil, which is tough to do,
right?
Because we're talking about entities that are beyond even humans. But if we're slicing it up as good versus evil, the Emperor definitely counts as a good chaos god Because even if you don't agree with the Emperor and you think Horus was right, compared to the Chaos Gods, like the Emperor,
he's a better deal than these
he is
guys
definitely
are.
a better deal.
Yeah.
What, Dan? How is that disputable?
It'd be nice if it was a choice.
I'm not going to say that you don't deserve the choice, but I think it's easy to say that having like a properly cooked steak is better for you than a McDonald's cheeseburger. I mean, I agree you should get the right to choose to eat which one you want, but like, come on, let's not lie about you picking a shit choice here. Gypsy!
Speaking of hamburgers, yeah, it's a hamburger squishy toy.
Yeah, and it is actually, Gypsy is speaking her mind on this because it is a cheeseburger squeaky toy, so she is protesting every ounce of this analogy.
Is she calling us out for heresy? Are we doing a heresy? Is that what's happening?
For those of you that don't keep up on the other cults, Gypsy is my 130-pound bull mastiff, and I absolutely 115. She's lost weight. 115-pound bull mastiff, and she is my baby, but she often is intrusive. Anyway,
I'm sure you've heard her on other episodes of
other things.
Cult Talk Net.
Yeah, if you've not caught up on.
Yeah. So,
But anyway, let's handle this by rank, shall we?
oh,
Which means Khorne is actually the first Chaos God, and he was the
Ah.
first to. Well, so we don't know who was the first to ever exist. Khorne was the first to gain sentience. That's.
okay.
I do think that's an important, if meaningless, distinction.
As far as sentience as we understand it, or kind of just sentience in that he started organizing.
Are you
stuff
trying to break it
consciously.
down further than
I
that?
don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
where did these? Yeah, like what are
They don't
How
answer
do these
that.
things even
like,
think?
First,
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, guys, a lot of this is going to be. It's going to end up in a question mark because they're,
This is one of
as
those.
Dan said at the very beginning of this, they are unknowable. Like they leave their motives and kind of personalities and kind of deep hidden desires incredibly vague for a reason.
They're built off of the subconscious of all living things.
Right.
And particularly the negative subconscious of all things. And
Yeah.
Those are just higher spikes.
And so Khorne is kind of the rage in there, right? Like he's
Mhm.
that. He came about in medieval times. Is kind of
that's
what
when
I-
he gained sentience.
That's when he.
That's when
that
he
is
became.
gained
That's when he
sentience,
became
yes.
aware. So a lot of people speculate, and I kind of lean this way: is that as far as we know, the first war to happen was like basically the war in heaven.
Mhm.
That's probably where they came to exist. Maybe.
There was the idea of conflicting with itself.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh.
I think at a point over time that coalesced into more thought.
Right. But
Yeah.
but here's the thing: is like Nurgle, who is the god of disease and pestilence and stuff. Surely
Right.
that.
Stasis, decay.
But
Yeah.
surely that stuff was around before the war in heaven.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how could that be?
But maybe back then they
not
were
be older than Khorne's concepts of violence, rage, and know.
so perhaps maybe they were just
Well, how often was it a feeling that an animal was having versus a sentient creature thinking?
right, because it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be the desire to kill. It just has to be blood for blood's.
right.
So as long as there's been predators,
As long as blood has
Yeah,
been
and-
spilling, or
Yeah, it gets layered on top of each other. Some of it might peek into the concept of a god. It's fighting other concepts, and it's just smashing. It's just chaos until at a certain point it became its own thing.
coalesces,
right?
and
And
becomes
I think
aware.
they kind of became like a hibernating thing that influenced the galaxy just by presence more than acts of will.
Okay.
And then at some point,
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
we
Right, it's
influence the
feeding
warp
then
and the warp
off of-
influence.
right?
Yeah.
But then at some point during the Middle Ages, Khorne figured out that he could
Yeah.
do things by act of will.
Yep. And started kind of having an influence on the galaxy.
He decided
and-
he can start stacking those skulls.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I started with Khorne was actually like his realm, which I thought was
Sure.
really cool. You know, it's got stuff like, I think it's like the blasted plains and stuff like that. And he has this great big, not iron, I was about to say iron, but it's brass.
A lot of brass.
Fortress.
Important distinction.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a moat of blood going around it. And inside of his fortress is where sits his famous skull throne, which is just mounted. He did, of course, he doesn't care if it's one of his
Nope.
his allies' skulls or his enemies' skulls. Although
he doesn't even
keep,
particularly have allies per se.
right, his minions perhaps, or just champions of his. It's hard for me to. Does he have outright just worshippers typically, or is it usually just like
nope? They're warriors. They're
war.
They're warriors, one and all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they just because it's
some of them might invoke his name for strength in battle.
Right, but they're not like
or
holding
they might be willing.
Anything.
They might
just
be trying to prove them.
So a like a cultist for Khorne, like on like what a street level person would look like,
right.
might be like a serial killer.
Okay,
who then joins. But you have to understand, like also like in hive cities, but if you're a person whose predilection is violence, it's not like you have to be a serial killer, like do this underground. You can just, for most people, it's as simple as joining a gang.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
And that's easy.
Yeah. And it can't just be drawn out violence, though. You have to, because then it starts playing into Slaanesh.
Right.
It starts getting
the pleasure.
So any suffering is frowned upon. He wants like, he'd rather 200 people just die instantaneously and not fucking feel it than like, one person sit there and bleed.
Which kind of feeds into his honor.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well,
that's true.
He hates Slaanesh, right? That is his
yeah,
opposite.
that's I believe is his opposite. Yeah,
but he also really dislikes Tzeentch as well for his use of sorcery.
Yeah,
and
like I think he'll
trying to
overcomplicate with him, but he doesn't.
War and combat.
Like him and Nurgle seem to be pretty chill though. Like Nurgle doesn't really seem to care much about Khorne, and Khorne didn't really seem to care much about Nurgle either.
Right, because he just I can't really see anywhere where they really intersect.
Because Khorne, I would imagine Nurgle is like, well, war breeds death, which breeds rebirth, and Khorne's like, well, life breeds war, which breeds
right, which I need life for blood to flow.
Yeah, so I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else is his realm? So
he's got the mountains I thought were really cool. So he has this mountain range. Is it called the Ring of Fire? Am I thinking the real world mountain range? Got a little confused by that.
I won't know.
I would have to research Khorne.
You would have to look more into
it. Would how do I say
like
this? It would have to be. It would have to be my fucking topic, Eric. No, it's fine.
Sorry. But that's where any warriors in life who died that didn't die in battle apparently were sent there to like eventually be. That's where his forges were.
Right.
So they were set to work on his forges, and I guess now this I thought was a little contradictory because his anvils apparently hold like the souls of people, and they're just forever being beaten by the hot metal of this forge, and their suffering like adds to the blade. And I was like, wait a minute, but isn't that Slaanesh's realm? But maybe that's just a kind of a necessary evil, I guess.
I think you're overthinking it.
Am I really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you
There's so many writers. I'm sure somebody just put that in.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
but you could argue there's some nobility and repeated.
But the problem is once somebody just arbitrarily introduces it, it's like, well, but
you gotta be careful
nevertheless, there it is.
Yeah.
I would argue, I bet. So Warhammer 40K is packed choking full of, to the brim, to the eyeballs with hypocrites. One and all. I don't know. I can count probably on one hand the amount of characters that I know of personally that aren't hypocrites.
And I guess where more likely would you find?
So I don't see any reason why the Chaos God should be exempt from that.
Yeah. So that's kind of where his minions and such get their weapons, is from these poor guys that live up in these mountains. They kind of have it pretty shitty, in particular for this realm, I guess. Whenever
you're like, well,
whenever he gets angry, they're all just a bunch of volcanoes and they blow the fuck up.
Oh my God. If we ever get to the point where we were like doing video, this would be where we would introduce the snippet of Hades from the Disney's Hercules hitting the blowing his top.
Yeah. So, but then he's also got this great big, there's a lot of, it's basically like a dry, fiery landscape, like picture a red fiery hell, and you're picturing this
So like
place.
Mars.
Yeah,
on
and it's
fire?
got on fire with lava flows and stuff, and it's got these huge crevasses, and I guess not really lava flows, more or less. It's
The
blood
blood flow.
flows. Yeah, hot blood, fresh blood, and this would flood and form like blood pits, and I think that's where a lot of his minions come from. I have a list of minions. They're like bloodthirsters, flesh hounds, bloodletters. I think it's either the bloodthirsters or the bloodletters that come out of like the blood pits and stuff. But it's basically where his people are generated from, and they're all just tasked with getting more blood to fill into these blood pits and produce more for Khorne.
Bloodletters.
I think it's bloodletters.
Is it bloodletters? Okay. I got the letters and the thirsters.
Well, I think they're similar. I think
kind of
one
mixed up.
I think one's a bigger version of the other.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're both like real stereotypical Halloween red devils, like with horns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of came across
So I
as
think-
like lower level.
I think Bloodthirster
Khorne
is the
demons.
smaller version and Bloodletter is the bigger one.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I think.
But they start, this is where all of his demonic minions come from, is these fucking blood pits that
Blood pits.
flood over from
The
canyons
blood of,
and
yeah, I'm sure that comes right from the blood of spilt by warriors in battle.
oh yeah. Yeah, it probably just seeps right in. Yeah, that's pretty much his deal. And
I actually
kinda
got that
how his
backwards.
guys got
Bloodthirster is the bigger winged version, and a Bloodthirster is actually what Kabanda is.
okay, Kabanda. Yes. Yes.
And then a Bloodletter is the smaller version.
right. And Kabanda is a pretty special greater demon. Have we talked about greater demons?
We have not.
Okay.
So greater demons are the captains. They're like the second in commands.
Yeah.
They're the second rank of demon right behind Chaos God.
Yep. They're the big dogs, and I think you said on air they were oftentimes just like
Aspects.
aspects of
Pieces of
Aspects
the
are
underdog.
slaves.
yeah,
Yeah.
aspects or slaves. Yep. Not the case with Kabanda, as I understand it.
Not
And
Kabanda.
I don't know as much about him in particular. I know he's got vendetta against the Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Or he
He
really
does.
wants them to join Khorne.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's how I know Kabanda is because of the Blood Angels.
Right.
And, the way they frame it in what I've read with Kabanda in it, because they actually do have some chapters that are from his point of view, which is interesting. He is neither a slave nor is he an aspect of Khorne. Like he's not Khorne. He's a complete true believer. He wants to serve, and so that's why he's perfectly okay with corrupting the Blood Angels and not killing them. For another general of Khorne, leaving them alive would be unthinkable. It'd be completely counter to the point. But Kabanda is and also like it would be robbing them of the laurels and the honor that they would get by slaying these. But he's willing to forego all of that because his master wants them.
So he's just all about that, and no one else would really care, even though that is directly what he wants.
Correct.
Because he doesn't bother telling anybody anything. He just go out there, slit throats, fight people.
Right.
Yeah. Charge in, get your chain axes. I think
But
those
because
are his
Kabanda is a true believer, he is aware of his desire for the angels.
Wow. And so that's why he's the one who fought Sanguinius in the sky
Yep. Twice.
Oh,
They fought twice during the heresy.
wow.
Kabanda lost both times, but on the first time he knocked Sanguinius unconscious for a while.
Oh, gee.
So first time they fought, he beat him pretty raw.
Wow.
But then he came back and beat the shit out of him, and then in the Siege of Terra, he broke his back and sent him down.
Jeez. Man, I really would have loved to see like that fight kind of portrayed, because that's the literal like angel and devil, like full blown wings
Fighting
like,
in the
just-
air over this
Oh
fucking
my
ridiculous
God.
battle of millions of troops.
That would be so cool.
Not to mention Cabanda's like, what, 6 foot taller than Sanguinius
Yeah,
was?
he's like,
Like
yeah,
the size of a Balrog.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he really,
It would look like,
Cabanda really does look like a Balrog.
yeah,
just with
he
fur
really does.
instead of lava.
Yeah. Oh, that does. And the artwork I've seen does kind of, it reminds me a little bit of those scenes with like the Balrog and Gandalf, just that small but bright light facing us off against this dark, fiery redness.
Sanguinius fucks him up, breaks his back over his knee, and which would have been the weirdest looking thing. It'd be like watching a human get baned by Tinkerbell.
I know. I can't even picture what that would look like.
Like a human, like suplexing a gorilla.
Yeah.
How do you get that kind of leverage?
I don't know. But anyway, he did it.
Yep. And then he actually shows up later. I guess no humans actually saw him.
No.
But we mentioned in a prior episode
the Tyranids.
The Tyranids, he interferes. They just kind of a bunch of the Tyranids in space over Ball just up and disappear and are replaced on the ground by their skulls with a clear sign from Kabanda.
Yeah, his sigil.
Yeah, and that was because the Blood Angels were there.
Yeah,
they didn't want the Tyranids to have that.
High Fleet Leviathan had the angels on the ropes, and Kabanda was like, my master wants you corrupted, not dead. So he charged right into the middle of the High Fleet, took out the Norn Queen, and bounced out.
Yep. And just mopping up after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although people take that as a sign that if going up against each other, Chaos versus the Tyranids, that Chaos will just trounce the Tyranids. There's a realm of difference between fighting the Tyranids in an actual battle and just teleporting your happy ass in and teleporting your ass right the fuck back out.
Well, there's arguments because the demons don't have really biomatter.
They don't, but they also don't get any souls from the Nids.
Yeah, so
neither one of them get anything out of each other.
And me and Eric have talked about this. We talked about this before. If the Nids if it's just Chaos and the Tyranids going up against each other, then isn't Chaos also losing power from the lack of sentience being absorbed by the Tyranids?
Yeah, and they're kind of blank-like in the warp. They don't have a presence.
Right.
No, they don't.
Cast a shadow.
So Chaos would be draining on two fronts.
Yeah,
they'd be draining from the fight from the Tyranids and the lack of the belief energy that comes from the sentience that the High Fleet has absorbed. So I think the Nids win.
Yeah, man.
I just don't think Chaos can sustain it.
I know. It's like, where would
it would be? Chaos would have to use its resources in the real world, in the material world, which
would be severely weakened.
Yeah.
A future where the Nids win sounds
well. It's happened a lot, apparently. They're all over. They're coming from almost every goddamn angle.
I don't know. I don't think Khorne will stand for it. Because I think he's arguably now. Is he the most powerful?
He is. Yes, at a baseline,
okay,
he is.
Like if he were to actually get his ass off of his throne and march out, he's got like a great big sword called the End of All, I think.
Yes,
and it's been speculated that it could just kill all of the other Chaos gods.
Well, it cuts reality, so yeah.
Okay. And the reason he doesn't do this is just kind of is he wise enough to know to maintain the kind of balance that's going on in the warp? It sounds like
maybe we don't know.
We can't speculate. Yeah, I keep trying to speculate.
Yeah, the problem is you're going one step too far in, my friend.
Yeah.
I think he's saving it for a good fight.
Save it. Oh,
he's saving it for the Emperor.
Ooh, I wonder if that kind of makes him the Surtur of this world, like Surtur from Norse mythology. He's got a great big fiery sword, and he doesn't do shit until the end of the world, where he comes forward and just starts wrecking shit.
Yeah,
I almost wonder if that's kind of a
maybe.
Ooh, I should have looked into anyway. Links between Khorne and Surtur. Look. Maybe I'll leave something in the comments if I find anything cool.
I'm sure it'll come up again. You'll have a chance to cover it at some point.
So there you have it. He kind of feeds off of. I liked that earlier. Righteous anger. Like I always, honor all the time. And I couldn't quite figure out how that fit in. But yeah, if you're ever just like, you know what, this motherfucker deserves a punch to the face.
Yeah, people have to remove the idea of you having to have a negative emotion associated with the action for it to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't.
Right.
Simply engaging in the thing is enough for them.
Yeah. Simply the violence.
Especially Khorne.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, and it gets to the point where his followers, if they run out of people to fight, they'll just start stabbing themselves just to keep
especially
the
blood world leaders. Those crazy fucks.
And, oh yes, and they're I think they're the ones I was thinking of when I was mentioning that. But his cultists probably do that too.
Oh, I'm sure
just
they do.
Everybody probably just.
But yeah, the world leaders are Angron is their Primarch, and they are the ones that are dedicated to him. And yeah, they'll slaughter the enemy, and then when they run out of enemy, they'll start slaughtering their friends, and when they run out of their friends, they'll throw themselves on their own goddamn weapons.
Yep.
Crazy
adding more
bastards.
blood and skulls.
Crazy bastards.
That's it. Blood for the blood gods.
Skulls for the skull throne. And that's Khorne.
Yeah, I think that about covers it without a deeper dive, I think.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Well, I'll go next.
Okay.
Next up, and I had Nurgle, Grandfather Nurgle, as they call him. Now, that's a lot of people think that they call him Grandfather Nurgle because he's the oldest. That's not true. His followers call him Grandfather Nurgle because of how much care he shows his followers compared to the others.
Grandfather Nurgle's care.
Yep. So Nurgle looks like a giant, rotund potato with short arms, stubby arms and legs, a mouthful of razor sharp teeth, and stag antlers. He
I didn't know about the antlers.
Yeah, he's got a huge thing of stag antlers.
Oh, cool.
He is green in color. He's got open sores and pustules that weep pus and all kinds of fluid all over him. He's got patches where his intestines are hanging out. And he's as happy as a clam.
And he probably smells great.
Oh my God. Actually, I believe there's a passage that describes he actually doesn't live in like a throne or anything. He has a hut.
Humble.
Yeah.
Just a humble
but
little abode.
I believe I read a passage that said that the smell of his hut is actually enough to drive you insane. Like it actually cost you your sanity.
Oh,
so,
God.
There you go. But Nurgle is the chaos god of pestilence, plague, disease, but also rebirth and life.
Again, that kind of weird irony that comes with these guys.
Acceptance and stasis and recycling.
Recycling.
The cycle.
Yeah.
He doesn't like change.
Acceptance.
Doesn't like change. But so to become a cultist of Nurgle, like one of the ways that's like not malicious, because everybody can think of the people that, when people think cultists, they're the people that like, oh, I'm going to make you this promise for power or this or that. And there are plenty of those. But like what I think is interesting is the way the chaos gods get the unsuspecting. And one of the ways that Nurgle will do that is he will introduce plagues to the galaxy and just let it go. And he knows that people will come to him just because he will give them the strength to endure it.
Oh.
And so it's as simple as like he'll engineer a plague that doesn't kill. That's not what it's there for. And just unleash it. And through suffering, people will be like, okay, please end this.
Oh,
and
man.
He's got you.
And that's so neat because that's kind of like what disease really, an optimal disease will do is it won't kill you. It'll minimize its harm so that you don't pay attention to it to kill it. It wants you to endure so it can keep enduring too.
I'm imagining like a cancer patient accepting the inevitable. They only have so much time left and they want to make the most of it. And they want to enjoy it and they want to be in the moment and have peace. And that's Nurgle.
Yeah. But also he gets in through the family as well. If so, like an unconscious way to start turning to Nurgle is if you have a family member that has cancer and you're like, I just wish they didn't have this. Or please just let them survive this. That endurance, that prayer for survival is enough for Nurgle to start getting in. And what he'll offer is, well, I will give them all the strength in the world to endure anything. The way he does that is by making you immune to the disease, not taking it away. You're immune to the effects, you're immune to the pain, but it racks whatever cost it's going to take on your body and you will remain.
And more than likely, you're going to be a carrier and start passing.
And you'll be able to spread. But also, one of the things I like about him is so followers of Nurgle are incredibly cheerful.
Yeah,
because one of the things he does is he removes the part of them that seems to know that this is bad.
Right. It's like they think of it as
a blessing.
Yes.
And that's what they mean when they say like Nurgle pays the closest attention to his followers is he'll give them all kinds of gifts like super endurance, no pain, no depression, like always happy, but it's at the cost of you become this bloated, like distended thing where your intestines are hanging out or your skin is sloughing off or you've got flies and other invertebrates moving in and out of you, and you're completely immune to it, but nevertheless you are this thing.
Yeah. And to you kind of want to spread this to other people at that point.
Yes.
Too, because
it feels great.
Yeah, it feels great. That's why I get a little hung up. It's like maybe orcs aren't quite the happiest in the universe. Maybe people who have fully given over to the embrace of Grandfather Nurgle.
I would have to say that if I had to pick between the two, it'd either be Nurgle or Khorne. Those are the two that don't seem aware of their own suffering.
Yeah. I guess that's true. By Khorne's very nature, like you don't want them to be aware of it. You want them to just keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Tzeentch would be the worst because Tzeentch is fickle as fuck.
Oh yeah.
That motherfucker will.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But Nurgle's Realm is a garden. It's a garden with a hut in the middle of it.
Yeah. It sounds so quaint.
It does. Some of the things you can expect to see in Nurgle's garden is he has a row of trees that are made out of the living flesh of Eldar.
Oh my God.
And it actually has the sap of it that leaks out is actually their tears.
Wow. Thoughtful of.
He has a garden full of tongues, just miles of tongues sprouting out of the ground, and each tongue is a different plague variant so that he can go in and look and see what it does to a person's tongue.
Oh, check how many does this one have spots or bumps or that one's rotting.
Yep.
Wow.
His favorite place to be, and forgive me, I have completely forgot what this area was called, but it's basically an area where he takes just different beings that are able to talk and stuff, and he plants them into the ground with their heads sticking out, and they are exposed to all these different diseases and stuff, and he likes to see how they react and how they mutate and morph. And then when he's feeling froggy, he'll actually go out and walk amongst this area, and if he sees somebody that kind of catches his interest, he'll actually like clean all the shit that's crawling in and out of their mouths and talk to them.
Oh.
And if he likes your stories, he'll actually pull you out and then take you to his hut. And you'll be like one of his little like storytellers.
Oh, perhaps get a better life out of the deal.
I mean,
relatively speaking,
if that's what you want to call it. I mean, sure.
He sounds so sweet.
Yeah. He's what you'll find in some of the other things you'll find in his realm, his garden is you'll find the fruit that grows from trees, which is like this basically rotten fetus.
Meat
fruit. And they're eaten by these giant bot flies. That's what they are. They're like huge, like Nurgle flies, but they're like the size of horses.
Oh my God.
And like his whole garden it's set up this way. So the flies will come in and eat the fruit. One of two things will happen. The fruit will either be toxic or the flies will get the spores on their wings. And when they fly away, one of two things will then happen in accordance with that. The dust will spread off their wings, therefore planting the fleshy fruit further along the line, refertilizing the garden. Or if the fruit is poisonous, the fly will start vomiting. And will start vomiting up all the contents of its stomach, which then plants the ground and makes the fly easier for the predators to catch because it can't fly away because it's too busy vomiting up its innards. And then it becomes part of the food cycle that way.
Wow.
Yeah. Nurgle's garden.
I love it.
And all the while, you have things like, I think they're called Pox Walkers. Are those the guys that have one eye?
Pox Walkers.
I think so.
So these are humans that have kind of served Nurgle for a very long time. They become mutated. They become these really like scrawny armed legged things with really bloated stomachs with one eye and a horn growing out of their forehead, and they're green, and they're tending to all the different types of quote unquote plants that grow in his garden, which are like the tongue garden and shit like that. But when you go through the garden, you don't like walk through it. You don't, it's not like an interactive experience per se.
Oh, okay.
You will experience it as your mind. Oh God, this is going to sound so stupid. You experience it as your mind experiences it. It's almost like flashes of the garden itself, and you don't get to control where you go or what you see.
Okay. I kind of get you. So you're kind of, the warp, they can't see my hand motions, can they? I'm waving my hand around in a vague way. The way that the warp temporal spatial
it's like
stuff
you're
works.
in this part of the garden, and then you're in this part of the garden
over here,
and then you're in this part of the garden, and then you're in this part of the garden. That also applies to the Pox Walkers who are tending the garden. They just crop up and they're like, okay, well, I'll start tending this area. And then they fuck to another area. They're like, well, I just start tending this area.
Huh. Okay.
And then eventually you wind up at Nurgle's cottage.
Oh, just by that.
Seems to be. If that's where he wants you to end up.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. It is his garden.
But he seems to like to take you like through a tour.
Oh, okay.
But he actually wanders his garden all the time.
Right. He probably walks about because he seems to really enjoy this stuff. And the more
he does.
Yeah.
Most accounts of seeing the grandfather Nurgle are him laughing and giggling and humming to himself while he's dancing around this giant cauldron where he mixes like all of his plague brews and things. But he's very joyous about it. In fact, we'll start with this. His greater demons, his second in commands, are called Great Unclean Ones.
Okay.
And they are very much just him in a smaller form.
Yeah.
And he knows this. And even they will argue with each other, even though they know that they are him and he knows that he's them. He'll do it just for fucking fun.
Chaos gods.
But
okay,
it's like this. A Nurgling is like a squat. Remember, if you don't know what a squat is, go back and watch Orcs, because I'm not explaining it because it makes you
chapter 1.
Yep, because that means you have to go watch it.
Yeah. I'll put
but
the link down.
they are basically a squat-sized version of Nurgle. They're called Nurglings.
Yeah. Okay.
Nurgle is such a chill king, like ruler, that one of his great unclean ones, which I think his name is Kugath, but I think I'm wrong. The only great unclean one's name I can remember is Kugath.
Oh.
I don't think it's him. But one of the great unclean ones was a Nurgling who he just lets crawl all over him all the time. They actually crawl in and out of his wounds and they eat the stuff that comes out of him. They actually
pus. And
they'll actually fight over an open wound to see who can suckle at it and stuff like that.
Oh my
like he doesn't,
gosh.
He doesn't.
Puppies on a nipple.
Yep, exactly. He doesn't care. So this one great unclean one was a Nurgling that actually made a nest in his shoulder. And just like to chill there.
Just chilled on his shoulder.
Just chilled on his shoulder like a fucking meat-eating parrot. Like a parrot and a leech paired together.
Oh my God.
And he actually fell off of his shoulder into this cauldron.
Oh.
Right as Nurgle perfected the greatest plague ever. It was the most virulent, least lethal, most deadly, or most suffering causing.
Yeah.
Like it killed you, but it actually like basically made you immortal. It was like the perfect plague. He fell in and drank it.
Oh.
And he started drinking it. Oh. And as he started drinking, he started getting more and more powerful. And Nurgle, even though this was like his perfection, thought it was so fucking funny and so badly wanted to see just what would happen. He let him drink the whole thing, which turned this Nurgling into a great unclean one. And he's fine with it.
Wow. He's just like,
He's like, well, that was fucking neat.
But this motherfucker inadvertently saved us from like probably the worst thing that could have ever happened to the galaxy.
Probably. And so now that great unclean one spends his eternity trying to rebuild that concoction for Nurgle.
Oh, because he drank it all?
Yeah, because he
out of consideration.
Yeah, because he's like he was a Nurgling. He was basically retarded, so he didn't know what he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
But now that he does, he's like, oh, I want to make this up to you. It's not Nurgle asking him to do this. Although now he's a great unclean one, he is Nurgle.
Is Nurgle.
He probably just wants another taste.
Yeah.
Does he? Because he was a Nurgling, he wasn't an aspect of Nurgle then, but he is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did Nurgle really forgive himself?
It reminds me of Asterix and Obelix. You guys ever read that comic? It's a French comic. But basically they're Gauls. They live in a village. They fight the Romans. They have a magic potion.
Oh.
And one of the characters fell into a vat of the magic potion as a baby. So he's constantly at super strength. And the druid, the shaman of the village, never lets him have any more. He's not allowed to have any more. He always sneaks into line. He always puts in disguise.
Oh, God.
He's this huge guy, and he's always trying to get another drink of that potion.
But yeah,
that's great.
So Nurgle's incredibly forgiving.
Yeah. Oh, man, he sounds like the one I'd try to.
I know.
Well, there's
You have asthma, my friend. Just think what that would be for you.
Oh my gosh, I would just have blistery
the hay fever
pus
all the time.
filling my lungs, and
But you wouldn't care.
I wouldn't care.
I know there's a story where like Death Guard come out of like Nurgle's embrace, and they're just like, "What the fuck."
Yeah.
they just want to die. They're like, I feel unclean. I feel dirty.
Oh no! Oh no! They
Yeah. Even so, the
lose
Death
their,
Guard, the Death Guard are
shield against the reality of it.
Yeah.
the Death Guard are of course, the Astartes that fell to Nurgle. Their Primarch is Mortarion. Yeah. And so it's funny because he's so nasty. Even they're like, oh shit. These guys are like the grossest of the gross. We'll have some pictures. If you're unable to look at them, look them up later.
Yeah.
They've got like I said, their bowels are hanging out. They have tentacles where arms should be. They have all kind. They are the most heavily mutated of the traitors Astartes by huge margins.
They are
huge
hard
margins.
to look at.
They are grotesque as fuck.
I
love them though. But they are also, the thing is their joy comes from this very like strong sense of melancholy. They're very much like none of it matters, so it's all funny. Like, but what that does is it makes them. They are also incredibly jovial.
Yeah,
I love them.
Wow,
this is newer lore, but isn't there's an Eldar goddess trapped in Nurgle's garden?
There is. So she is an Eldar goddess of healing, and Nurgle has her captive. And every time he gets a new concoction like ready, he has her drink it to see if she survives. If she survives, he throws it back. It's like, damn, it's not good enough.
He's trying to come up with something that can overcome this aspect of healing.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
and
man,
even newer lore. All right, so this is the part where I said don't get too excited because I cannot put a whole lot of context in this. I am in the middle. I'm not in the middle. I'm getting ready to wrap up a Night Lords trilogy, and as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to be diving into the God Blight, which is apparently where all of this goes down.
Hey guys, Future Eric here, cutting in real quick to let you know that we have a spoiler warning. Spoilers ahead for Dark Imperium, the series, particularly the last book or the third book, God Blight. So skip ahead to the time displayed on your screen if you want to avoid spoilers or have not yet read Dark Imperium. Back to the show.
But apparently, Guilliman had a big kerfuffle, had a big square off with Mortarion here recently. Yeah. And the Emperor possesses Guilliman and does two things. One, he says something which is incredibly interesting. He tells Mortarion that none of the Primarchs are beyond redemption, even now, which is interesting.
Whoa.
Just out of sheer rage, on behalf of what he's done to the Death Guard and Mortarion, he storms in and burns half of Nurgle's garden to the fucking ground.
Jeez,
yeah, I've heard this lore. I haven't experienced it 1-1 yet.
Right, that's right. That as soon as I'm done with the Night Lords, like that's where I'm headed because I'm like, what the hell was that about?
So probably stay tuned for that later on in future episodes.
We'll probably
have to look because that's a fucking thing.
Well, I'm probably going to tackle that when we do an episode of the Emperor because that's going to be like where he's at now.
Yeah.
That's one of his most recent activities.
That's like the biggest activity he's had since the heresy.
Holy cow! And that puts some shit into perspective too. Like as far as he goes,
it does. It lets you know where his power level's at right now.
Yeah. Nurgle's garden, where where you were just describing, he can just you go where he wants you to in this place.
He
like,
literally he did.
Yeah.
So if anybody doesn't know, and you might not, but I doubt it, there's a prank where you put dog shit in a bag and you light it on fire and you leave it on the front of somebody's door. And then when you knock and you run away, when they come out, they step on it to put out the fire and get dog shit all over their shoes. That's basically what the Emperor just did to Nurgle. He took a big flaming shit on his front porch.
And now I kind of feel bad for him.
Nah.
You're like,
no. Listen, I like Nurgle's my favorite out of the Chaos Gods, but like they're the bad guys. Let's not lose sight.
It tracks until like what's in the bag is probably not shit because Nurgle would just love
would love the shit.
Yeah, he'd polish.
Okay, I take it back.
Yeah,
the Emperor walked into Nurgle's shit garden and squeegeed it clean.
Yeah.
He cleansed it.
Took some Lysol, sprayed it around.
So, but yeah, I believe that's what happens in. Oh man, I should have spoiler alerted that, I guess.
We'll insert a spoiler alert.
Please
before
do.
That. Yeah.
Please do.
Okay. Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
For
we
the
go.
Godblight books, which
For the
are out
Godblight
recently.
books. Okay.
I should have spoiler alerted that because that is pretty recent.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
I never run into spoiler alerts in the 40K community.
I know.
Right. I don't ever.
I know, but the idea behind Cult of Lore was this was supposed to be for beginners.
Yeah. So, and I guess this is pretty new. We haven't really been talking about anything that's new yet. Beyond
We haven't done. We've done good right up until actually now until I fuckered it all up.
So this is hey, that's 5 or 6 episodes in, right? We're good.
Right until we've stayed away from the very recent stuff because in 40K when new stuff happens, it still takes like a year for it to even settle.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have no idea what the consequences of him doing that will be, or what the larger implications for the Emperor. Will he be taking over Guilliman often?
Oh.
Is it going to be rule from the Emperor by proxy?
Oof, I don't know.
I don't know. So
Yeah, it could have been like a one-time thing.
is it? It could be. Could just been the one time he's able to do it. Fact of the matter is, we just don't know. But anyway,
Wow.
that's where I'm going to leave it with Nurgle. That's grandfather Nurgle. Oh, fun fact: the worshippers, the Chaos people, are actually well aware that the Great Unclean Ones are a greater aspect of Nurgle, and they actually refer to them as Papa Nurgle.
Aw.
Whereas the main aspect of Nurgle is known as Grandfather Nurgle. So they do keep continuity.
Seriously, both the grossest and the cutest Chaos faction. There we go.
So Dan, why don't you lead us into Tzeentch?
Yes. Tzeentch. 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 The changer of ways. The lord of sorcery. The architect of fate.
Do you have a favorite?
The god of change, mutation, intrigue. The list goes on and on.
There was one you were telling us about that somebody has coined.
Tzeentch.
Tzeentch. You know what's funny? I can legitimately see Nurgle calling him Tzeentch. Like him and Khorne are just kind of having like their own little like tete-a-tete where because they don't really give a shit about each other, and it's just like, yeah, and old Tzeentch over there was just fucking really ragging on me the other day.
Yeah. The great eagle, Shen, Tzeentch, the master of fortune. He has all names, so many names,
So many names. That's
so
a lot of
many
names.
plots. He's all about just tugging at strings and seeing what's happening. All sorts of dominoes going all over the place. A lot of his I don't know, works are done unwittingly.
Unwittingly.
Yeah, not a lot of like direct. I mean, there are a lot of people that seek knowledge and like accidentally come across them, but it's a lot of ambition and just intrigue that leads people to him.
It sounds like he's a fisherman. He just puts out hooks and just waits for somebody to swim by and get caught on it.
Who wants to follow
But he's
this?
also throwing dynamite in the water. And he's also got a fish farm that he's doing for stock. And he's also got a fish cryptocurrency going.
Oh my God. Of course he does.
playing A, B, C, D, E.
And he's buying up all the fish oil on the market. Yeah.
So I think I said this off recording, but in every faction of 40K, there is a element of that faction that is dialed up to an 11, even beyond 40K standards. For the Space Marines, it's the Alpha Legion. For the Eldar, I think it's the Harlequins probably, or the Dark Eldar even.
Yeah.
But for the Chaos Gods, it's Tzeentch. This guy is just like plots within strings within plots with so many I don't even begin to know what I'm talking about sort of shit.
He does stuff where he counteracts himself. Like future versions of himself have tried to like fuck over his past self.
Holy shit.
He's actually supposed to be the most powerful god in the Warhammer Fantasy series. He pretty much won and then said, I want to keep playing the game, and gave up power.
Just so that he could keep playing.
Yeah, he doesn't play to win. He plays to be the best at the game.
Oh my God, Eric, he really is your Chaos God. So you guys don't know this, but Eric has a constant battle between past Eric and future Eric.
Yeah. Oh, there is. Yes. A constant yeah. No, I totally related to that. What Dan was describing with Tzeentch, because it is.
So
I will yell at myself from the past in these recordings quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah. And leave messages for the future.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, Eric.
So I mentioned a lot of people, like politicians get tricked into kind of overreaching their power. They might try to fuck over a rival.
No,
A lot of moral compromise.
surely not.
People that do things in good faith and they slowly degrade their character over time.
Gasp.
He loves this stuff. He's constantly just eating popcorn and watching the drama. So speaking of like looks, anything and everything. Smoke. He likes being Smoke. A lot of people describe him as like a lanky sorcerer in like ever-changing colored robes.
Oh.
He's Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah.
I have been watching too much Bob's Burgers. That was a Linda.
Oh my god.
And no one's sure. Like anytime they see him, they don't know if it's an aspect of him that he's purposely putting on or unintentionally doing.
Yeah.
Is he or is he not? He's doing both. There's some aspect he's intentionally doing, and some of it's just a facet of his nature. Their nature.
My god.
Imagine if the world's most powerful 4D chess sorcerer also had Alzheimer's and split personality disorder.
And a time machine.
Time machine.
So he also has a lot of psychers and sorcerers worshiping him.
Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, he's the god of magic. They want to put this force to their whim. And
God of psychers.
Yeah, the god of psychers, pretty much.
Yeah. It's one of the things Khorne doesn't like about him.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Nope. And I agree.
And a lot of these people that worship him, they gain power, but then there's always unintended consequences, a lot of mutations.
Oh.
Tzeentch is the one making Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn is like a real generic term for just like any sort of freaky aberration that comes out of the warp. Any person that gets
just
mutated.
the mindless monsters. They're not demons. They're not serving. They're just creatures that inhabit the warp.
Yeah, and they're created by Tzeentch.
Most often his followers that piss him off or don't piss him off or don't do the thing or do the thing, but they didn't lift their pinky or maybe he was just bored on a Tuesday.
Was it a reward? Was it a punishment? Yes.
Well, who knows?
What the fuck?
Oh, he out of all the Chaos Gods, he is the most known for just fucking over his people for whatever reason.
Just you guys talking about him is making my brain feel like a pretzel.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean, fair, right?
I want to bring out the term Imperium. It's another term for the warp. Like you have the Immaterium. I don't know, the vortex. There's also
the Sea of Souls.
Yeah. And I feel like those are distinct things in the warp at a certain point.
Most likely.
Concentrations of thought coalesce in this infinite space to create islands.
You could say like the Sea of Souls is the highway. The Immaterium is like the outer regions.
So the Imperium is a kind of like a highbrow. It's what a sorcerer would refer to as the warp. The Thousand Sons would call it the Imperium. So I imagine it's the highbrow section of the warp. And this is like
it's Tzeentch's nightclub.
It's a very heavy metal album title, or like it could be Harry Potter and it's the
Harry Potter,
the Crystalline Labyrinth and the Impossible Fortress.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I thought when he said that too.
Never-ending story.
So there's this crazy maze called the Crystalline Labyrinth. You know, it's just unimaginably weird. It's like if Feronius Bosch and MC Escher had a baby and tortured it to be an architect.
Jesus.
And you do not get through the labyrinth without Tzeentch's like say so. And then you might get to the Impossible Fortress, which is in itself like a
impossible.
Yeah, it full time and space folded in on itself. Just rooms growing and shrinking and folding in on itself.
Imagine a castle made out of Mary Poppins' bag.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And the bag was sentient in itself. Like an Ouroboros.
And then sometimes was something else.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
People that have entered that realm, they describe there's no real cohesive string to it. It's all random.
Right.
But like a woman would walk through and see all these different future careers, all these awesome possibilities for her life. Another guy would go through and he would see all the terrible fortunes that would befall his children.
Oh.
Just weird ways to fuck with your mind.
Hashtag no kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's his realm.
Oh That sounds
What's his greater
trippy as
demon?
hell. Does he also have like madness associated with him or anything like that?
Oh, of
'Cause
course he
that
does.
sounds quite maddening.
I think it's that fine line between
fair.
madness and genius.
Yeah. Aha. Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of
Although most people catapult right over that motherfucker.
Yeah.
they jump that shark. So a lot of blue and gold and a lot of like the rainbow every color. That's what
Oh,
it is.
okay. Yeah, I was kind of picturing a very technicolor,
Yeah.
like sort of feel vibe to it. Very trippy.
His sacred number is 9.
9. Oh, I missed Khorne's sacred number. Damn.
This is 8.
Damn. It is 8.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I have no
There we
idea
go.
what Nurgles is.
We did it. I don't know if he has one. I don't know if they all have one.
I'm sure they all have one.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
So greater demons are the lords of change.
Ooh.
They're like vulture bird people. Long necks, bird heads. They got wings on the back, claw hands and feet.
Ah, okay.
And I think
Kinda-
there's also like a 2-headed one.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's like a specific like higher like named Lord of Change or like just a rank.
Right.
I think it might just be one guy, and I think it might actually be the fantasy because he
Okay.
kicked one of his greater demons into the Well of Eternity.
Oh.
Which is a section of the warp that is just eternity.
Oh,
Of course.
you don't say.
Nothing's gone in and come out except for this demon he kicked in.
Oh, by the way, Nurgle's sacred number is 7.
There we go. Oh, 7, 8, 9.
Listen, we take our lumps here.
Okay, so yeah, the Lords of Change, which are these bird demons. A lot of birds and fish are associated with Tzeentch. It's a lot of like Khorne is real like kind of an old school concept of the devil.
Yeah,
a lot of fire, brimstone. Tzeentch is very eldritch horror.
Yeah.
Tentacles, and I mean, you might think that's Slaanesh, but
No, Slaanesh
Right,
is more
but
like
no, you're
leather
right.
and spikes.
yeah. So gills and tentacles, a lot of birds and fish motifs.
Okay. Yeah. There was a lot of fish present in Lovecraft's concepts.
Oh yeah, the deep ones.
Yeah.
Innsmouth, so on and so forth.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Dagon.
Yeah. And I kind of like this idea of like, because I imagine he knows exactly his way around this labyrinth. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm
Like,
sure.
you know, Dan's kind of describing it as very random and haphazard and stuff like that. But I'll bet there's an order to that madness that he understands
Oh my god.
in a
is
very
Tzeentch David
Lovecraftian
Bowie?
way.
Is Tzeentch David Bowie?
Oh, yes.
Space Marine walks in and Tzeentch goes, "You remind me of a babe."
But babe,
Babe.
Babe with the bow. Oh god.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wish I
so-
knew that song better. I would totally be singing it.
Tzeentch is powered by hope, potential, and progress.
Hope, potential, and progress.
Powered by hope.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when all the children of Japan clap their hands together, the kaiju that shows up. So one of Tzeentch's demons is called a screamer, and it's just it's a giant manta ray with a big eye on it, and it flies around screaming. You get a lot of variants that are like on fire or lava,
And I'm sure that
Cold.
scream does something terrible.
but they like to harvest them, and they produce these flyers. They're called discs of Tzeentch,
Discs of Tzeentch.
and they're floating platforms with like eyes and teeth.
Oh, cool.
Oh. Huh. Interesting. Neat.
And then I think a notable demon is I think the pink whores. They're like picture just a really like angry Kirby, like on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
Big
yeah.
arms and legs, and these things like sling spells and huck magic at people.
Is that one of the forms that the Thousand Suns turn into?
I think so.
Oh,
I
no
think
kidding.
so.
I was going to mention the flesh change. It's a little different.
It is a little different, but
Well, the whole thing is if you kill one, you get 2 blue horrors you have to deal with.
that's right. That's what those are.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like a double whammy.
And then doesn't
Kill
that
one
divide
and they
even
split
more?
into 2.
I think it's just the 2.
Is it just a 2?
Oh,
I thought there was one that divided to 3. I thought there was one that went like red, blue, green. Maybe not.
I've only seen pink and purple.
Oh, well, that's good.
okay. That's good.
I wouldn't
That
want
is
to deal
good.
with Russian doll enemies that just keep spawning.
Yeah,
more.
just keep popping out more and more like slimes and stuff like that in some video games.
Yeah.
But these guys are basically wizards. You said they're like slinging magic around.
Yeah, a lot of spells, a lot of sorcery.
Huh. Yeah.
Like Fireball.
Yeah, the demons do it.
Just-
The cultists do it. His favorite legion is 1,000 Sons, and they were all about psychics and
Right.
psychers.
Magnus the Red.
Yeah.
So they were developing their psychic powers, and they were undergoing these like hellish mutations. Like it would put like Emperor's Children to shame.
Yeah.
Oh.
They were just mutating into these abominations.
And I don't know, through his research, there was some connection to Tzeentch, and Tzeentch reached out. It's like, I can save your guys. And it's called the flesh change. It delayed the effects for a while, and then it cut out like right at the worst fucking time.
And they started mutating again.
Not only that, it was beyond that. They just completely started disintegrating. They went hypermutation, and then they just like turned to dust.
Oh my god.
They fused into their armor. Yeah, the 1,000 Sons are the dusty. They're afraid of vacuums.
Yeah, that
They share that in common with the Space Wolves.
Oh, the Space Wolves. Oh no.
Who they're the ones who showed up on Prospero trying to do some like magic police work.
They just came out with
so that's the rubric Marines
Oh my
for the
gosh.
1,000 Sons. There was one changer of ways that talked to it was
Lord of Change.
Lord of Change that
Lord of Change.
talked to Horus. I think that got him to, and it was I can't remember. It's one of the ones, but it has two heads. One head always lies. One head always tells the truth.
Oh man.
But in this particular instance, they both told the truth.
What the fuck?
Well, remember what they told Horus was that they showed him that future that was because it's both truth and a lie.
Yeah. Holy
So that
cow.
one time they both told the same thing.
Yeah, this is kind of mindfuckery sort of stuff for me.
Yeah.
I'm good on you for taking this guy on. You were so eager to take him on, but this would get really confusing for me.
I think you'd love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think because I love like the wizardy spell sort of characters in
Forbidden
especially
knowledge.
in games, and yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely that sort of thing. So he's probably the one who could get me to turn over to him the easiest.
I think I went through most of his names. I have some other names for. There's the Eye of Terror, the Maelstrom, the Great Rift, and the Screaming Vortex. These are all separate places where the material plane and the warp are connecting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those are all giant rips
just
in
points
reality.
where it's all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was writing this list of all these names for one guy, and then these are all these interesting names for these separate events. So I wanted to write them down.
Okay.
And so that leads us
That's-
into Slaanesh.
Slaanesh. Yes. Our most recent
The most
chaos
recent god, born of the debauchery and the fall of the Eldar. Thanks, fuckers.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what the fuck happened? We needed to get them an intervention, and that didn't happen.
Well, in our defense, this is before we were in any position to do anything.
So
Right.
there are two factions of Eldar in the modern setting.
Correct.
The Craft War Eldar, they were kind of Luddites and space Amish.
Space Amish.
They rejected the hedonism, and they went off their own way. So they missed the party.
They're space Amish if their technology was in direct reverse, because they're like the most advanced of the advanced,
Yeah.
with the exception of the Necrons.
Are you talking
Right.
about the Dark Elves or the Craft War?
The craft world.
Well, and the Drukhari, the ones that were spared, they were the ones that were kind of far away from home as well, and the ones that were really nestled deep in the webway.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, they're part and parcel for what the Eldar were like at the time, just hedonistic.
Right.
But then they got so much worse because they're literally trying to save their souls from Slaanesh.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Drukhari or the Dark Eldar, they're like basically what if Elves started a hyper focused Hellraiser fan club.
Right. Because basically they had gotten to the point where they were so far advanced that they had to seek great extremes for pleasure.
Well, so they got so advanced they didn't need to do anything.
Uh-huh.
And,
Right.
And so they delved into they just became
They had to
hedonistic
stimulate themselves by
somehow.
extremes.
So
yeah.
it just became more and more and more extreme.
They'd have viewing parties where they would blow up planets.
And just watch.
Yeah,
the
just
planet
for
blow
someone
up,
to watch.
just to do it.
Yep, with
Just
with sentient life on it.
Oh my
just,
gosh.
Just
Just for the
extermination.
sake of it.
They would there was
Symphonies of torture. Just
there
torturing
was
creatures.
records of cities running knee high with blood just outdoors and down city blocks and stuff.
Wow.
And basically, by the time it all crescendoed, Slaanesh came screaming into reality, born of all the suffering and hedonistic and torture and also their pride and their belief in superiority.
And at the center of their civilization, their home planet.
Yep. Just is where the Eye of Terror.
That's where it was.
That's where it was. And Slaanesh just ripped open screaming, and the psychic backlash from Slaanesh's scream of birth genocided the Eldar down to a ridiculous degree. It was like a shockwave of oblivion that just spread throughout.
Yeah. Just slaughtered unthinkable amounts. Like 90%, over 90%.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was a decimating thing to occur to a galaxy spanning race whose technology would make things we see in like Star Wars look meek and meager by comparison. Right. They had dreams that could basically bring wish into reality.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow.
They had transcended all of that.
Right. They were at a point where like we would look at them and see gods.
And they're a highly psychic race. They've developed this to like a science.
Right.
And they're all susceptible to it. So when the shockwave goes out, it's just all their bells get rung. Their heads pop.
It's like it would literally just be like watching them just rip into pieces physically.
Just pops every Eldari head for light years around.
Millions of light
years.
And so Slaanesh is the youngest of the Chaos Gods, who is the Chaos God of pleasure, excess, obsession, but also perfection.
Oh, yeah. And kind of artsy, too.
Yeah, right? I was just saying, in many ways, the arts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always kind of how it's struck.
Because the arts are pure indulgence.
Right. It is. Yeah. It's for the emotion of it and stuff. Yep. The indulgence to make you feel something about it.
I mean, not just killing all of these Eldar, wiped out a lot of their pantheon, their gods.
Slaanesh came out fighting, just started ripping ass through these gods, and only the ones that decided to run survived.
No kidding. I didn't think about the Eldar's gods before
which were believed to be weapons that were given to them by the old ones.
Oh.
That then gained sentience over time.
Wow.
Oh, this is a theory I saw where in creating the Primarchs, the Emperor needed demon souls, or just like warp entity. So he housed these thought concepts, these demons within the Primarchs, and that's why when you get a clone, if the soul doesn't return to the body, you get a mismatch, and that's why the Horus clone was like severely weak.
Huh.
Well, that was kind of blown up, but then that wouldn't explain the Fulgrim clone that's out around.
The soul got in there, and it was just pure happenstance and luck. And it's like it used to be another thing, but it went through the process of being in the Primarch. So now it's the soul of the Primarch and the warp, and it needs to be back in the physical body to achieve pure Primarchiness. Yeah.
Huh.
That's just something it might have even just been like a fan theory.
Yeah. Was it a theory? Okay.
Yeah,
well, so all
theory.
We know about, I believe all we officially know about the Chaos's to doings with the Primarchs is that to get the the whatever he needed to complete the Primarch project, he went to the warp and made promises to all four of the Chaos Gods, and then just completely backed out and betrayed them and backstabbed them and closed up and just abandoned them. He had no intention of paying them back whatsoever. Yep. But we don't know what he took from them.
Oh.
So people are speculating on what that might have been.
Was it a material? Was it a process?
Interesting. Was it? Well, he went to all four of them, so it has to be something that came from all four of these guys. So something smart, something enduring, something
well, he might have
honorable.
He might have needed different parts from each of them for the different Primarchs.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
yeah. And mine, like I think the YouTuber was doing like just different greater demons, but it could have been a little bit of each to make a new thing.
It could have been
maybe.
I mean,
it's all speculative
because there were 20 Primarchs, and that's divisible by 4 in equal parts.
So there you go.
You could kind of make that argument. Maybe that's interesting anyway.
I would say it's worth investigating, but there's really nothing to investigate.
Right. It would all just be speculative.
It's all speculation.
But
which is what's so cool.
Yeah, no, I love that though.
Back to Slaanesh.
Cool.
But Slaanesh is very like purple, and Slaanesh is all about androgyny. It's called the king queen of the realm, like
right. Yeah.
All of the Prince of Pleasure,
the princess of obsession, like Slaanesh's greater demons are called the Keeper of Secrets. That's why I kept saying that. Keeper of Secrets.
Yes, the Keeper of Secrets, also known as the Bringer of Temptation or the Feaster of Pain. Interesting. Hermaphroditic Greater Demon of Slaanesh. And these guys could apparently, I don't know if this is exaggeration or not. I mean, with how extreme Warhammer is, I guess it's probably true. They could hear.
Well, I was going to say the army of Slaanesh, the demons, are called the Legions of Excess.
Oh.
And I was going to say I had this written down. The Tzeentch's legions are called the Scintillating Legions.
The Scintillating.
It's like multicolor, like just sparkly, just like fish scale. That's what scintillating is.
Oh, okay. Scintillating.
Like the rainbow fish. Have you guys ever had to read that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I bet Khorne's is the Blood Legion.
Probably the Blood
Legion.
Legion. Yeah, that
And
actually
I'm ashamed to say that I don't know Nurgles.
Yeah, no, I didn't look at what Khorne's was. I think he would consider any legion his legion.
Oh, Slaanesh's Sacred Number 6.
Oh. So we go 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, and the numbers kind of. So if Khorne came first, that'd be 8. Then it went 8, 9.
Turn that 9 up 6. Oh. Weird. Very chaotic.
I'm not diving into this one.
I'm sure there's something there, though. There's probably a reason for
But their colors are purple, pinks, and blacks.
Yes.
Slaanesh.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Slaanesh is all about purple, pink, and black. And leather and spikes.
I think I like Slaanesh's color palette the best, too. I like that blend of blue and purple.
What's wrong with the moldy greens and browns in Nurgle?
I mean, they're pretty.
Listen. Diarrhea goes with everything, bitch.
So
I'm just but anyway, Slaanesh gets off on Slaanesh finds followers everywhere, and it's actually one of the reasons why I think kind of the other Chaos Gods hate him is because it's so easy for Slaanesh because all of them see every sentient being
everybody wants something,
seeks some sort of pleasure.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what it is.
Yep.
Tzeentch can find it and dial it up to an 11 to where it becomes some even pain. Like even if you're like not loving things can become an obsession.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And anything that's kind of taken too far.
Yeah.
Anything that goes over the line.
Right.
Just anything
kind of steps into his territory.
3 fingers instead of 2. Slaanesh.
It's
just the extra
bite of dessert.
Listen. There's a reason why we say just the tip. Anything more than the tip, Slaanesh.
So the philosophy: sensation without limitations.
Sensation without limitations.
Yeah, that's what
nobody says no. Yeah,
right.
Just keep it going.
So, like one of the best examples of this would probably be the Emperor's children, which are the Astartes that fell to Slaanesh. So, like when they fell to Slaanesh, some of the mutations they took was. Like they would absorb sound in an incredibly painful way. Like they would mutate these almost bioelectronic speakers on their ears that would drive every sound they hear up to like skull shattering levels.
Well beyond the human sound range.
Like painful levels. But then it made them addicted to the pain of the sound, which imagine having hearing that's 1,000 times more than a dog's on a battlefield.
Oh man,
and they also wield sound weapons on top of that. And
Jesus,
because they get that pain is
the noise marines.
Yes,
the noise
this
marines.
quiet offends Slaanesh.
Yes,
and they just get addicted to that.
I was thinking of this Magic of the Gathering card. It's called the Sensation Gorger. It's a goblin. See, he's got his eyes glued open.
Oh, Jesus.
He's got like horns in his ear, and he's got a frog in his mouth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Excess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Yeah. Hellraiser as fuck. Like.
And like a cultist. He probably has the largest selection of willing cultists that just
that are just
fall to him head over heels.
Yeah.
I was listening to some of the Caiaphas Cain stuff, and he deals with the Slaaneshi cultists. They just giggle when they get shot. They just laugh off wounds. They just keep coming at you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that kind of tickled.
Yeah, they're just feeling so much pleasure getting your asses kicked or kicking your ass.
Anything.
Just nothing.
Slaanesh's realm is actually a palace.
Yep.
Of
that
course.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And it's kind of treated like different, like the palace has different rooms that are like further in. And then at the very center is basically like Slaanesh's bedroom.
Gosh, of course. Okay.
And I couldn't find any actual reports of somebody making it to Slaanesh's bedroom and living to tell like what that actually looks like.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
I'm seeing
Fair enough.
like a breakdown. There's excess of riches. I'm assuming that's just wealth.
Right. So it's like the 9 circles of hell. Almost.
Excess of
Yeah.
sustenance. I'm sure that's just
Food.
Oh.
excess of bodily delights.
So that's
Okay.
sex,
Yep.
lust,
Excess of adoration.
praise,
Oh, okay.
worship.
And pride. Too.
Excess of
Yeah.
achievement.
Oh, there's the pride.
There's
yeah.
the-
Yeah.
Excess of repose.
Excess of repose. So excess of rest.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
fuck.
sloth.
That's
And
how
then-
Slaanesh would get me. He'd be like, Eric, you can sleep. And I'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, fuck.
And then
Yes.
the-
Never let me stop.
The palace of pleasure. I guess this would be the inner sanctum.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
And Slaanesh is the youngest.
Yep.
And most disliked.
Yeah.
And Slaanesh craves Eldar souls.
That's,
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. Yeah. Doesn't Slaanesh get their souls when
Every
they
single
die?
time an Eldar dies, their soul automatically goes to Slaanesh.
Which did not used to be the case. They
Did
used to
not
go
used to.
into like crystals or something.
And they
right?
still
I remember
can.
They
that.
still do that. That's the separate
Oh.
thing.
That's how
okay.
they avoid Slaanesh. It
Oh,
used to be they were
okay.
just reborn, right? They didn't actually die.
They would, they'd be part of the warp for a while, and then they would be reborn
Just
in
come
new
back.
bodies. Yeah.
Perfect reincarnation,
But
like
Slaanesh
memories,
is just
everything.
like get inside of an orifice when you die. Just I'll take you.
And I think for them, it was a
Nom, nom.
choice. Like if they wanted to,
Yeah, they could choose to come. I believe you are correct.
Oh, back in the day, they
Yeah.
could come
Yeah,
back
the
if
height
they
of their-
wanted.
their
when
height
they,
of their
when they
power.
wanted to.
Yeah.
And then, so that's why the
Mm.
Drukhari have figured out a way to prolong their lives through absorbing the suffering of others. And
Yeah.
it's all in a
it's
mad dash to stave off Slaanesh's grab.
And
Which I
in the
get.
meantime, I get it too, because that sounds fucking terrible. But in the meantime, they're feeding Slaanesh by doing that.
But
And
it's
making their enemy.
but they're
more
feeding
powerful.
Slaanesh other people.
Yeah.
not-
just
not
getting.
them.
somebody
Yeah.
else, anybody else.
I mean,
Dear
so it's
God.
like imagine there is a hell, because it doesn't matter whether you're like, well, it's pain and pleasure or pleasure and like
No. hell.
Imagine there's a hell and that there's nothing you can do to avoid it. If you die, you are going to hell.
Yeah.
Period.
Hmm.
That would drive you to some extreme shit.
Really would. I know. Like, I don't think anyone is exempt from that, given those kind of extremes.
That's why Elon Musk and Bezos are trying to build the Matrix, and
Ah,
that's what the Eldar did.
They-
The craft world Eldar. They have their soul stones. Is that what they're called? And they work like little batteries, and they can plug it into their power wall.
Or they're
Oh.
titans.
Oh.
So, but it houses the soul of an Eldar.
And just so it's a conscious battery now.
Yep. And the
Interesting.
Drukhari will try to raid these.
Oh no.
I don't think it's canon, but there's a nice idea that salamanders would take the soul stones back to the Eldar after battle. Just to be nice.
Huh.
It's like, we wrecked all the Wraith bones or the Wraith Guard, whatever.
I doubt that very heavily.
Yeah. They probably
Listen,
just smash 'em.
I
Too optimistic.
love the salamanders. What I love about them is that they are like the knights in shining armor in the darkness, right? But they don't give a fuck if you aren't human.
Yeah, or humanity.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are not exempt to that rule.
This is an old reference. He saves children, but not the British children.
Oh,
It's George Washington.
Oh my God.
It's, Brad Neely. It's a George Washington rap.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But that's, I mean, that's a
funny.
good way of summing it up.
Right now, a cappella.
No, please. I don't want a George Washington rap.
Washington.
Hang on. Give him something to leave a comment if you want to hear Dan do the rap, and we'll
Acapella.
post it if we
We'll-
get. Yeah.
I don't have to be there for him to record it.
You don't. We'll just put a mic in front of him. We'll go have lunch. Dan will rap to you, and
Just
we'll put it
cut
up
all
there.
this.
Yeah. Just one comment. That's all it'll take. Right?
Yep.
I think we got enough chaos.
We'll indulge you. Yeah.
Yep. I think that'll do it on the Chaos
That
Gods
will.
today, guys.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about like who, I just want to know real quick, who do we really think each one of us would kind of fall to the most likely? We kind of thought me with Tzeentch, which I kind of agree with. He would.
Oh,
Or is this almost? It almost feels like too invasive of a question, really, because these guys are very like.
It's very
Yeah.
it's very
Doesn't it? I didn't
I-
really think about that.
for me, it would probably either be Slaanesh or Khorne.
Yeah. Just kind of that fight or indulge, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I like to I like my likings, so to speak,
Yeah.
and I just cannot seem to find my way out of a fight.
Yeah.
I want to fight it, but I think it's Nurgle. and I just got to accept it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow.
that's not bad.
I was called Sloth in college. That was my nickname.
Sloth.
Sloth.
Well, I had a habit of like hanging out in my dorm and just kind of like reading in other people's rooms.
Oh, right.
But
just hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody like photoshopped my head on a sloth.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
I mean, better that than Sloth from
I guess
the
there's worse
Goonies.
things. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
But anyway,
There we go.
we'll wrap that up for now.
Uh-huh.
This drops, and then we have what's dropping after this, Eric?
so
Is it
after
Imperium Part 4?
After this should be book 4 of Imperium Appreciation.
So that'll actually probably, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out now. Our predictions are terrible.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
They are.
But I believe this will be that'll conclude the Imperium.
We are anticipating,
Or at least the Imperium
that being
timeline.
the end of Volume 1. Yes.
Of the timeline.
Of the timeline. Yeah.
We're not
I
gonna.
found a picture of the Chaos Gods.
Aw, cute dogs. That's
Oh my
funny.
God.
The pug is Nurgle.
Which one is which? Yeah, that's the question.
Pug is Nurgle. The Pomeranian is Khorne.
Send that to me and I'll make sure to put it on
Tzeentch
YouTube.
is the one in the corner that's only got one eye sticking out, and then the one with the big tongue and balled up. Go ahead.
That's Slaanesh.
What?
That's Khorne.
Oh.
That's Nurgle. That's Tzeentch.
I disagree. I think the pug is Nurgle.
Is that the thing?
Those are both bugs, I think.
See, I see that as Nurgle. That
Yeah,
looks like
exactly.
Nurgle to me.
No, that's an O face coming at you.
That's an O face coming at you. Oh
That
my
literally looks like Nurgle, though.
God. I know. That's I think what's getting me on it. I think that's Khorne. I've seen that kind
Oh,
of
that's
dog.
got to be Khorne.
That's
gonna
definitely
be an
Khorne.
angry-
That's
Little
all gonna
angry
eat your
little
face.
Pomeranian or something.
Yeah. I can't even tell what the fuck that is. Maybe that means it's Tzeentch.
I think that's a pug licking its nose.
I guess. I don't know. I can't tell. It's a blur.
Yeah, I saw this for like an ad. I'm like, no, those are the Chaos Gods.
Those are
Oh
the
my God.
Chaos
And
Gods.
don't worry, guys. This picture is up there.
Yeah, we'll put the picture up. I'll even try to do something neat and highlight the ones we're talking about when we talk about them. We'll see. We'll see. We make a lot of promises on this show.
and we deliver just late, like the UPS.
Yeah, there we go. Rain, shine, sometimes.
Just
you
not
know?
on.
Just
Rain,
not on
shine,
time.
just not on time.
There you go. I love that.
But so
This episode has ended in chaos, quite appropriately.
it has. So
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap up the Imperium next, and after that, the
Yes.
next chapter. I'm calling that because this is absolutely gonna happen because
Yep.
I've been putting it off because I feel like I didn't want to compound Imperium stuff, but I've not indulged myself long enough. In the next chapter, we're gonna do a character study on Conrad Kurz.
Ooh, and you have been waiting for this talk about Slaanesh there's the crack. He's slipped in.
Yeah,
He said, "Oh, just do it."
indulgence.
Yes.
Indulgence.
Go ahead and get Conrad.
Conrad is my favorite character of Warhammer 40K, and I want the first character study to be on him, so we're going to go
Okay.
ahead and do that next.
Heck yes. So that'll.
So, Eric, do you want to
conclude-
wrap us up with any stay
Oh.
tunes or any joins us, or this will be launchings, or
Yeah, okay. So I'll do stuff like that. I kind of talk about it in the description too. I probably will leave links because I've started doing that. If you like hearing stories about weird stuff, weird shit, we have a channel for that. It's called Cult Talks Weird Shit. Ian Yade in the background. That's Ian. He does that show. We also talk about movies over at Cult of Campbell, particularly Campbell Movies. And of course, here I was about to plug lore, but you're listening to us there.
and we also just do random movie drops.
Yeah.
We did Aliens for my birthday. I think we're planning on doing the Bob's Burgers movie because we've got a couple of
yes.
Bob's Burgers fans. We're going to do an impromptu one, I think.
Yep,
It won't be a
fun
big
one.
deal, but I think we're going to do it.
Yeah,
To hell with
so
it.
we love talking about movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
So there'll just be random movie drops here, there,
Uh-huh.
everywhere.
And of course, like we said, coming up next, it's going to be Conrad Kurz. We're probably also going to be covering a video on or doing a recording on the Imperial Guard soon. They're the ones I've been kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, that's the
doing.
one that Eric wants to
there's some
cover.
elements
He
from there that I'm
likes
pretty
the
excited about.
everyman.
I do. I really love that about all of this lore. You can zoom all the way down to such a microscopic level and then zoom all the way back out again on the macro. And it's just, there's stuff going on everywhere in between that they'll give you so much info. Yeah. If you want to look into it, there's material on it. It's wonderful.
So join us on all the social medias.
All in the name to sell plastic miniatures.
I know this modeling company has gone mad. Mad, I say.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. I'm not touching that one right now. That takes an episode all on its own called "We're Burning This Bridge." But
anything, for the listeners
Dan?
on
You
our
want to
way out,
close
Dan?
up with any thoughts, callers, concerns?
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Thanks everyone out there for listening.
Always,
All right.
always, always,
It's been a
always,
pleasure.
always.
We'll see you guys next time.
Later.